अपने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।
Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to Elets Data Center and Cloud Summit, which is being organized by the Banking and Finance Post magazine on 3rd December 2020 on this virtual platform. Go futuristic with data centers and cloud. This is the theme of the Elets Data Center and Cloud Summit, which is being organized today virtually on this platform. I, Harshal Desai, on behalf of the entire Banking and Finance Post team and Elets Technomedia Private Limited, welcome you all in this conference. As you all aware, there are several things which we are going to discuss. You all must have seen the agenda already. However, I would like to update you all again that rise in data center demand post-lockdown, role of data centers, data localization, and emergence of data centers as an alternative real estate asset class, digital transformation, cloud, and developing new businesses, technologies, operating models, strategies in HR policies. These are some of the subjects which we are going to discuss today. We are thankful and grateful to all the speakers who have agreed to speak in this forum today, in this virtual conference. And to start, I'd like to invite our Chief Executive Officer, founder, and editor-in-chief at the Banking and Finance Post magazine, Dr. Ravi Gupta, for the welcome address. I'd like to mention that Dr. Ravi Gupta has been encouraging the entire BFSI and Finance Post team to organize conferences like this, and by inviting different technology heads at different institutions to discuss significant and relevant subjects which matter the most. I welcome Dr. Ravi Gupta for the welcome address. Thank you.
Namaskar. I'm Ravi Gupta. I am CEO and founder of Elets Technomedia Private Limited. Elets is a 17-year-old B2B media company, and we have been focusing on creating awareness about usage of IT in various sectors of the economy. And to create this awareness, we publish magazines. One is called eHealth, another is called Banking and Finance Post, another magazine is called Digital Learning, and another magazine is called eGov. These magazines are focusing on government sector, health sector, banking sector, and education sector. But we overall, as let's operate in like several sectors of the economy, where we organize several conferences on how IT can help increase productivity and efficiency of the organizations and the workforce. And we are right now Today going to have the Elets Data Center and Cloud Summit. This is a very important summit, keeping this context of COVID-19, where the IT adoption has increased dramatically across all industries. Today, we are joined by eminent speakers from the retail sector, automobile sector, manufacturing, healthcare, BFSI, and several other sectors who are going to talk about how IT is dramatically changing the IT adoption in their own industries and how they are using data center and cloud uh, technology in uh, this fast changing and fast adopting scenario. And we are joined by our technology partners, Dell Technologies and Galaxy, who are supporting us in this very important event. And I also wish to inform all our delegates and speakers that this event is being conducted on a 3D virtual platform. This platform is called Avatar. Avatar is a software created by Elets Media Private Limited. On this platform, one can hold a virtual expo and a virtual conference and do online one-to-one meetings and networking very easily. So again, I welcome our eminent speakers and delegates for this very important and very exciting conference. Thank you so much and namaskar.
After the welcome address, now we are going to start the first panel discussion for the day, which is on enabling intelligent transformation in a data-driven world. This session will be moderated by Mr. Gopi Thangavel, Vice President, Reliance Industries Limited, and the esteemed panelists who are going to participate in this discussion are Mr. Shankar Jadhav, Managing Director, BSc Investment and Head Strategy, Bombay Stock Exchange, Mr. Vijay Kumar, Chief Executive Officer and Principal Officer, Go Digit General Insurance. We also have Mr. Umesh Padala, Chief Technology and Digital Officer, Star Health and Allied Insurance Company. Mr. Khushru Mistry, Chief Information Officer, Eureka Forbes Limited, and Mr. KV Deepu, President and Head of Operation India at Bajaj Alliance General Insurance Company. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for joining us in this panel discussion on enabling intelligent transformation in a data-driven world. Very significant subject to start today's conference, which is being organized by the Banking and Finance Post magazine and Elets Technomedia Private Limited. I once again welcome our moderator and all our panelists to this conference, which is Elets Data Center and Cloud Summit 2020. And I welcome all the attendees, all the delegates who are listening us live at this moment from across the country. Over to you, Mr. Gopi Thangavel. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panelist discussions. And myself, I'm Gopi Thangavel. I'm heading IT infrastructure, operations, security, and projects for the Reliance Industries groups as an enterprise. And, I believe this is slightly different than usually, what happened. Normally, there will be a panelist, there is a host, and there's the discussions. Here, the discussion is like the people who participate itself, they requested for the panelist as a discussions also as a host. So, which is slightly a different experience. So there is no formal, I believe, we can discuss each other. I know that you all veteran and very experienced people. At the same time, it is important to share your experience in a very normal way, and that's why I thought of quickly introduce myself. I'm Gopi, and can we have a quick round of the introductions themselves? Starting with Mr. Vijay. Mr. Vijay, you are muted actually.
Yeah, thank you, Gopi and Mansi, for giving this opportunity for interaction. So, my name is Vijay Kumar, and I am CEO and Principal Officer of Go Digit General Insurance Company. Uh, Go Digit General Insurance Company is a comparatively new company. We started our operations in 2018. We got registered in 2017, and 2018 we started our operations. So, so today we have a market share of around 1.5% in the non-life industry. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay. Over to you, Mr. Deepu. Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Gopi. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I drive digital transformation and industry leadership in my role as President and Head of Operations, Customer Service and Communities at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Thank you all and looking forward to an enriching panel discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Deepu. Over to you, Mr. Kushru Mistry, sir.
Thank you, Gopi. I am the CIO and the Senior Vice President for Eureka Forbes. I think most of the people would know what Eureka Forbes stands for, so I'm not going to go into the details of Eureka Forbes. But I am looking forward to this discussion, and I hope that we can all learn, specifically myself, to learn from this discussion of how the industries are progressing in the post-COVID situation.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Mr. Umesh. Umesh, sir, you are muted, please.
Sorry. I'm part of Digital and Technology Office at Star Health. I head the Digital and Technology of Star Health. I'm Chief Digital Officer and Technology. Both I head both technology as well as digital. And I've been part of Star Health for 2+ years. And we have been driving a lot of digital initiatives at the organizational level as well as at the technology level. So I head both strategy and execution for the digital and technology at Star Health.
Thank you, sir. Over to you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Shankar. Shankar, sir, you are muted.
I'm Shankar Yadav, Managing Director of BSC Investments, which is the holding arm of the stock exchange. And I also head strategy in BSC. I look after the data center infrastructure and the IT procurement teams.
Excellent. So before we start, I thought of quickly give one quick info. I believe we all know that, Mr. F.C. Kohli, who is our father of Indian IT industry, we normally call them, he is the one founder of TCS. So today is the day, he passed away. So I thought of, just informing that since he's the father of Indian IT industry. So it's good to mention him. So starting with the quick question, I'll start with Mr. Shankar, what he mentioned about the data center. So I'll start with Mr. Shankar itself. Shankar sir, the data center and the cloud services, how you think it will help your digital transformation?
The data center and cloud services are an essential part of today's lives of even common people everywhere across the world. Without the digital services, I don't think it is possible for anyone to live. In fact, nowadays people say that it may be possible to live for a few days without water and food, but not possible to live without digital or data or connectivity for more than a few minutes. So I believe that is essential. More because not only because of the infectious disease around and the pandemic, but more because its convenience and the way it effectively connects.
Thank you, sir. So over to you, Mr. Vijay. The same thing. How you think the overall importance of the cloud and the data center portion for the digital transformations, according to you?
Yeah, our industry, particularly the non-life industry, insurance industry, I think, has a different kind of challenges, than any other industry. Um, we have an issue with getting proper information from the customers. Customers generally don't feel very happy in providing complete information about themselves, about the risk. A lot of business is sourced through agents who are not so tech savvy. They still need a hand holding, and manual interventions. Um, so obviously, and the risk associated with the business, I think these are the few challenges which along with the large number of clients and large number of products that we have to cater with. So the only option is for a successful company is to look at the technological solutions and adopt a digital interface, so that all these problems can be curbed. So we at Digit actually are luckily, because we are new company, so we don't have a baggage. So we are on a cloud, and backed with the robust data analytics team. We also have API integration with most of the partners, and which include our own internal partners and external partners, to get the data source. So all put together, we are fairly, we are able to successfully leverage on this, the complete data management, data information, data which is available. And so the results are there, for us to prove our point. So we have grown significantly in the COVID period also. So in this year, we have grown around at the rate of 32% YTD. So, and our service levels, we have been able to maintain even in spite of this COVID situations.
Very nicely said, sir. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Umesh, since you are sharing the similar domain. What do you think about the criticality portion of the same data center and cloud portions for your digital transformations? How critical it is? Sir, you are muted, sir.
Gopi, thank you. First, very sad news. Equally, I had the personal opportunity to interact with him in early part of my career, very personally. He was the one first who brought IBM mainframes to India, and we're talking about data centers today and cloud hosting. Those days, he used to fondly recollect and then talk about it multiple times. There were no IBM machines, there was no IBM mainframes, and most of the work used to happen on IBM mainframe. And he was the first person, first company where he brought in IBM mainframe. And we had multiple interactions, and then we used to TCS as a family. He used to interact with people who freshly joined, and then he used to meet them. And I had one of the opportunities to personally interact with him in Switzerland. On that note, coming back to the question on the data center and cloud, today there is a reality, and we've been talking about cloud and data centers, multiple data centers, hybrid clouds, multi-cloud. But that is a reality today. We operate in a hybrid cloud environment, and we immensely got benefited, especially during the digital transformation in the last couple of years, as well as during the COVID period. We could able to scale up much faster and with a lot of simplicity, and we could able to support, as Vijay was mentioning, the volumes were grown up, and 3x volumes we were able to support on cloud, and availability was like 99.9% availability. We could able to achieve all this with the data, with the cloud hosting, and also our data center was able to backbone support us in terms of the whatever the digital journeys and digital transformations which we needed to do. And connectivity and availability of the platform was the topmost priority for all the remote operations, and was made available easily. And we went into automation, a lot of automations and cloud native features. We could able to leverage on top of that, and existing operations into a low touch operations, converting them into a low touch operation, digital journeys. All this we could achieve with the cloud hosting, and cloud helped us a lot. And also I again mentioned cloud native capabilities in faster time to market. We did not need to do a lot of reinvention research and then figure out some of them whether it is working. The cycles were compressed, and significant time we could able to save. And especially COVID, we did a lot of digital journeys, a lot of automation. So all that came in handy with the cloud capabilities. So all in all, the availability of the platforms or the volume, scaling up, native capabilities, cloud was really the game changer, and we are looking forward to making it more and more operations into the cloud. Today we operate in a hybrid cloud model.
Excellent. It's a very brief and very informative, Mr. On a lighter note, maybe it's not, maybe it's comparing is too much, but at the same time it's unfair also. Mr. F. C. Kohli and me, we are sharing one thing, which is we both born in 19th March. That's the only thing I can think of that. Thank you for that. It is wonderful that you're having a hybrid, which is beautiful, because what I noticed in many places, they went 100% cloud on certain company and certain ransom and certain things. They are very difficult to overcome the same challenges, but at the same time, they managed in a way when they are in hybrid, they are able to overcome that situation, which is beautiful. And what you mentioned is very right, actually. It is wonderful. Thank you, sir. And over to you, Mr. Deepu. According to you, what is intelligent transformations? Since you are managing a lot of digital transformations and your profile is very impressive also, in a way. So what do you mean by that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gopi. Now, when we talk about intelligent transformation, you're talking about primarily two aspects. One is when you are looking at customer-facing digital assets. While you are able to digitize processes, customers are increasingly looking for a human-like experience. So how can you blend the science of artificial intelligence with the art of customer centricity to give a solution which customers can relate to? So that's one aspect of intelligent automation. The other is typically when we think of automation, we think of repetitive processes at scale, which can get automated. At the same time, what we need to ensure is that we're able to bring in intelligence so that even the more complex parts of the puzzle can be automated. So to give you an example, when our bot answers FAQs, in case it is not able to, the customer is not asked to, hang up and go to the call center. We basically ensure a seamless shift to a human being. And then we pick up all these exceptional queries, and over a period of time, by deploying AI and NLP, we keep teaching the bot. So the bot is increasingly learning, and that's how we are introducing intelligence. So I think from these two aspects, human-like experience and automating more complex processes, I think that is intelligent automation, which goes a long way in ensuring good customer experience.
Oh, thanks a lot, sir. It's actually the whatever you explain is very intelligent way, actually. That I like it. Over to you, Mr. Mystery, sir. One quick question to you. It's slightly different than what normally we ask with Mr. Deepu and Shankar and everyone. In this current situations, we are deeply seeing that the declining of budget and resource movement, mobility, getting laptops, getting hardware, storage, supporting sending engineer, and managing supporting the home infrastructure become a lot of challenges. So what What are you seeing that? How are you overcoming such a situations? It will be a great help if you're sharing it.
The pandemic has put a caveat on who can go into the home, right? It has put a complete, absolute no on anybody moving to the home. The only way we could do it now, being a direct to consumer service company. Okay, a lot of us, our conversations depend upon face-to-face conversations. Okay, that had to be done remotely now. And how do you do it in a humane manner? Okay, is most important. So, from an infrastructure perspective, I think we we always were a mobile first company. So the livelihood of a person actually depends upon the working of a mobile, and that is usually the case, which is very sturdy. But when it comes to the back offices, the middle offices, where people do have to have it, the only way we could do it is having remote connectivity with basically zero trust networks built in. Because the pandemic has put a very large caveat on cybersecurity issues. Okay, and almost every day you hear of something going wrong with cybersecurity. But being a mobile first company, we have always matured on the fact that doing it remotely is the only way to do it, and doing it correctly with the cybersecurity measures. So even in today's situation, where we have found situations where all of a sudden people were in lockdown, we were able to utilize any device which you have, okay, and utilize a cloud-based desktop as a service solution to get into the systems. And that's the way we were able to manage throughout this entire period of lockdown without much situations. Because when you're controlling the security in the cloud, your end device at home, whether you have the antiviruses, whether you have ransomware, whether you have anti-ransomware on it, doesn't make a difference, because it just becomes a dumb device. That's how we were able to cater for a huge, I would say, feet on street, who automatically became uh, fleet at the home, but still be able to provide the same services they were able to provide when they were actually on the street. That's how we managed it. And that's why it's important to have a cloud-based infrastructure to cater for the next level of generation of data centers.
Excellent, sir. So the quick takeaway from your statement is beautiful. Actually, what your the mantra is: any device, anytime, any place. That's what you're trying to say. That's what we are able to take away.
Absolutely.
And
That's essential in
BIOD,
today's day and age.
yes, BIOD with the secured way to protect the people. It doesn't matter you have a virus or not. So
Correct.
that is perfect. Actually, it's a BIOD, and you simply mentioned three things: zero trust with the BIOD plus any device, anytime, any place. Actually, it's perfect. Thanks for that. Over to you, Mr. Shankar sir. The same question, but a little more deeper. What do you think about the current situations, whatever we are talking about, not only digital transformations, but how we are mobilizing everything? But what about the budget in that scenario? Are you getting pressure on cutting down the budget, or are you okay to use the budget? Are you using the pandemic to increasing the budget because of the many things happening? So how you are managing it, sir?
Being in Bombay Stock Exchange, we are very glad that we didn't have to wait for pandemic or any other external reason to be online. We have got the largest number of investors on board our exchange. In fact, we are world's largest exchange in terms of the number of entities listed with us, and we are also fastest. And you understand, in finance, when you do a transaction, being fast, but we got the lowest latency across the world. One of the things we always done is we always were ready with the IT platform. It is the customers which had to change the habits due to pandemic, and the clients started using it from their home and other devices. So the increase started being larger than it was earlier, because the pandemic gave some more time to people to invest. In fact, you would have seen that the investments during the pandemic have increased much more. The number of investors have increased. The mutual funds have gone up. Investment have gone up. The Sensex has gone up. So we know that we are capable of using this. some of the prime reasons for this being used was, one is we were being ready. And like us, many other organizations in the financial sector, I'm sure, were all ready. Second is the bandwidth constraints in India were very well known. So we've got lots of products which can use the constrained bandwidths. And as Vijay also mentioned, other people mentioned about BOID and the dumb devices. So we are prepared about it. Most of our things work on any device whatsoever. The other thing is we started using cloud along with our on-prem services. Though our on-prem services are available 24 by 7 all across the times, we also use cloud to a certain extent. And using both together has given an edge to be in the market available for the customers all the time. In fact, most of them don't even know that we hardly have any people in office except for the physical presence required by some of the IT infra and services staff. So that's one great thing. And we've been able to resolve lots of queries. People are happier because earlier times we were not able to connect so easily. But now almost all our customers and investors have become tech savvy, so as to say. You know, they understand the concept of being secure while connecting. And they also now understand much easily how payments are done and received with the help of the government regulations and infrastructure built up. I can tell you the NPCI and the government methods and pushing for digital transactions has also helped quite a lot. So we believe that's one. Second, the services. So from data center operators, the cloud operators, the IT services people have improved dramatically. The SLAs are kept aside. They are much, much better than the SLAs in many, many cases. I think that attitude change, that thinking change, and coming up to the requirement when the government, the companies, the customers need it is one of the things that has happened. I see a lot of change in IT services people. They work with us, and I'm sure they work with other companies and partnered well and supported throughout. Those are the few things I think that changed the scenario. Our country is in a much better position than many other even progressive countries or developed world countries due to being ready for IT.
Thanks a lot, sir. It's crystal clear that but we wish for everyone like BSC way having better budgets, and we can come with all the new technology, better connectivity, and better things. We wish for it. And actually, the way the things happen in a BSC and all, it was awesome. Actually, we can see the transactions, the number of hits, and people consumption and supporting. It's really amazing. Actually, it is. It's shown that the flawless of the infrastructure and the way the team manage it. So thanks for that. It is very nice. So over to you, Mr. Deepu sir. One quick question to you. When you talk about digital transformation, data playing a major role, right? So the data only are doing all the slices, learning, whatever the things you are doing it. So what do you think about the data way? How you do the smooth digital transformation without much impact on that?
Thank you, Gopi. If you look at insurance, this is the sector which has had the original data scientists in the form of the actuary. They were doing data crunching throughout before data became an all-pervasive term. The other aspect is, if you look at the insurance business, it's a heavily intermediary driven business. So this whole question is, who owns the customer? The intermediary thinks that he owns the customer. The carrier thinks they own the customer. So there is always this jurisdictional point which comes in. And as far as data is concerned today, coming to customers, today we don't realize as consumers, well, on the one hand, we are all very, very protective about the data that we share. But when we sign up for various apps and when we are signing up for various digital assets, we don't realize how much data we are giving away unwittingly. So today, if you look at the game of data, it's broadly in two buckets. One is within firms, like many of my illustrious co-panelists, spoke about the role that the cloud plays, right? One thing which a cloud does is it enables you to convert siloed data marts into a data lake. So one is within the firm, how do you aggregate data from various products from various lines of business, from various systems to get a holistic 360-degree view. The other aspect is, going to that concept of give me an inch, and then I'll give you a mile. How can we collate customers' data from all over the universe? In fact, when we went to the valley, in Silicon Valley, some months ago, we were very surprised to see that a lot of startups, even in a data-rich market like the US, have their business case built on the fact that if you give them a sliver of data, they can draw up the complete picture for you based on obtention of data from publicly available sources. So I think from that perspective, everybody's stitching it together. So this is in terms of the data landscape. Now coming to application, the whole idea is, how can you stitch it together to give customers, more real-time products. So for example, there is this platform. So what happens is a lot of carriers have customers who are variables. They will not share data with one another because they're all competitive. So they share this data with a third-party platform. The third-party platform will collect all this data and aggregate it, and then give suggestions based on, for products, based on real-time data back to the same carriers. So this becomes a win-win for everyone. A win for the platform because they do the role of matchmaker, a win for the customer because they get real-time products based on data, and a win for the carriers, because they can do data crunching and get back with products that make sense. So increasingly it's coming into play, and I think the scope for data will only increase with the passage of time.
So, thank you, sir. And in a nutshell, you are saying data playing everything. So it was quite interesting. I thought of quickly share a few seconds. One thing, in when we done certain theses on this predictive analysis for the banking sector, there is a one village, people used to go and giving money and all these things. There is a local people who distribute money at certain times, and when bank comes, nobody taking any loan or anything from the banks, and people get confused. Then they send a big IAM and other team, please analyze why these guys are not taking loans from banks but taking from local people. Then they understand the bank, whenever they follow the process, they don't care it's a January, March or December or any month, whoever come, they follow the process, they give the loan. But in villages, they know that this is the monsoon season. This time before that, if you give money, he will take this and he will get return the money. And the other dry period, they will not give money. They will say this guy will use it for personal and he cannot pay back. So they clearly understand that predictive way within the data way, whatever you're saying it. So it's brilliant what you're saying. Thank you, sir. So one same questions to you, Mr. Vijay Kumar sir. So similar pattern way, what about the data playing a huge role there, right? So how you are handling it in this such a situations like a pandemic as well as in digital transformation, which is visualizing, it's giving predictions, it's giving so many other things. So how you are managing that? Sir, you are muted, sir. Vijay Kumar sir, you are not audible actually. Can you just uh,
We can't hear him at all.
yes, sir. I think the cable something disconnected look like. Uh, no, Vijay Kumar sir, we are not able to hear you actually. You are not audible actually. We are able to see from your sign language. Okay, I think you can fix it. So before that, we can, Mr. Umesh can respond to that and we can come back to you on this. To you, Mr. Umesh sir, the same question regarding the data. So in a crucial well right now, like a pandemic kind of situation, predictions as well as the whatever the data we are using, it is become very crucial right now. So even in the digital transformations way, What is your take on that?
See, one of the things that happened with this pandemic, okay, the change cycles. Change has become so rapid. Okay, the number of changes that is happening in the market, the number of changes that is happening with the customers, the changes that is happening with the ecosystem as a whole, has compressed dramatically. Change cycles, the amount of change that is rapidly happening is so tremendous, and sometimes it's mind-boggling. So all this, okay, the number of data points that it is generating is enormous. Unless otherwise, we have a mechanism to have those data points and actually convert, it's not just acquiring the data, but at the end of the cycle, how you are able to derive the value out of that data cycle and then bring that into data value to the end, to the customer, convert that into customer value. So this become very paramount for any business model. You take sales cycles, service cycles, and even the wellness cycles across the journey. The COVID is a very good example. Okay, it changed entirely the way the hospitals function, the providers work, and insurers pays work, and at the same time how the services are delivered to the customers, and how the end of the day the customers are reaching out to you. All these data points, the way we were collecting the data, that has changed. So entire decision making and outcomes, driving the outcomes, is based on. It starts with the capturing the data, you enrich the data, you analyze the data, and you integrate well with other data what is available with you in the enterprise, outside the enterprise, and then bring in the governance and access controls around the data, and you start measuring that, the attributes and KPIs, and driving the monitoring of that particular data. So this entire transformation of data into data value and to the customer value, that's the fundamental shift that has happened, and that is the key to the digital journeys. So as part of the digital journeys today, if you're looking at A/B testing or anything, feedback loops are being they're done with the pilots and full launches, and everything is driven with the data. How much of the information you are collecting and how you are transforming that data points into the end customer outcomes, customer value. So the customer and the business are taking all the decisions today in the enterprise based on the data. So the data is the core, and we make sure that value additions are happening to the customer with the data, and driving the data value has become the culture. So this is the shift that is happening, and it's not just in IT operations or only in the digital transformation, but as organization, as a culture.
Very nicely articulated, sir. It's very clear that the data playing how much crucial role, not only limited to banking, it's health industries and everything. The way you explained, very clear. Thank you, sir. Vijay Kumar, sir, is it okay to explain the same thing? I think you may have to sign out and sign in back, sir. Look like it's it's not audible. Okay, so I'll let Vijay Kumar sir come back. So, Mystery sir, same things to you regarding when you look at your entire portfolio and the company way, the data playing a huge role. We cannot even afford a single data loss. At the same time, data need to be make use of it, and without the data, we are nothing in a way. So, when you look at in that context, what is your view on this role of the data and the way you are handling in the digital transformation, sir?
Data is, for a company like ours, is key, right? Because we are talking about we have over 2 crores of customer data with us today. How do you mine it? How do you make sure that it's kept intact? It's integrated. It does not, and how do we keep it secure? Is also one of the key aspects of how we handle data. But at the same time, this data is also utilized extensively. And I think I'll give you one example. Uh, from a water purification basis, we from Eureka Forbes have been doing water testing throughout the country. And therefore, we have a database of almost every building, what kind of water supply you get. So when our salespeople approach anybody in a particular area, in a particular building, we are able to do what we call as right selling. So we utilize the data, and that gives us the analysis behind what is the kind of product which we should sell to you within your building, because ultimately water will look like water. Okay, it's the solution, if the insolubles which are there in the water which causes the problem. So if we don't sell you the right product, then ultimately over the years you may find a problem. So that's how we have been utilizing data, and specifically during the pandemic, for a person who has, for our people who are direct to consumer, who are doing face-to-face communications, all of a sudden there is no face-to-face communication anymore. Okay, it's all remote. So data plays a very important role. So people who were assumed to be digitally active have now become digital natives, demanding the data of the customer who they have not met, have not seen. How do they remotely access the customer? Again, through human methodologies like video conferencing and everything, and ensure that whatever they were doing on the premises of a customer, now they are able to do it remotely with video conferencing and with 3D modeling and everything. So this is how it has got to work, and we are moving towards that. Okay, data of course plays a very important part for us also in supply chain, and I think this is where during the pandemic it has given us a lot of benefits to say, like I'll give you an example. The first thing which happened in the pandemic is every vacuum cleaner which we had, which we sell, went off the shelf because everybody bought it. They had to be working from home. So the trend from a vacuum cleaner sales shot up so much that we have been out of stock almost. By the time it comes in, it gets sold. So how do you utilize the data to predict better? Okay, so I'm not saying that we were not caught unaware. We were caught unaware initially, but then using the data, we were able to make sure that the supply chain become much better. So I think we are utilizing data from every aspect, from a customer perspective, from an internal perspective, including to the experience of the customer. We're trying to make sure that the data is utilized in a very judicious manner.
Excellent, sir. So you are touching anyway every day, everybody's life, and it's a very good message that without the physical human touch, but you need a human connect. Data is playing a huge role on it. It is beautiful. Thank you, sir. Sorry to trouble you, Vijay Kumar, sir. So the same thing to you. It's regarding the
Yeah,
data, and I know that data playing a huge role on this industry, and how you are managing it in your way for the digital way.
yeah. Sorry for this little bit of glitches. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
So for general insurance industry, I think the data is the lifeline. Without data, we just cannot compute the risk. We cannot price properly, and we cannot do business, properly if data is not available. Now, having said that, actually there is also a challenge for non-life industries to get a right quality of data and timely flow of data from the customer side, from the intermediary side. So as Deepu has rightly covered that lot of business happens through intermediary, and there is some amount of trust deficit prevailing in this, not only in India but entire insurance industry globally. So so the only option is that to engage the third party source to get the information about customers, information about the risk. and use that at the time of underwriting and pricing, as well as at the time of claim. And fortunately, I think some corrective action has been taken by this government. Central government has come out with many solutions to this, I think. So the IIB, the Vahan, the Sarthi, and for health also now, I think National Health Authority is also coming out with some kind of bringing all the hospitals at on one platform, and hopefully in due course, I think this information will be shared with the industry. Um, Data privacy is still a challenge. The laws are not very clear and not very friendly to the insurance industry. So, so for us, we being a new company, I think the challenge was not that high, that big, because we relied in the initial phase, on the technology a lot. There is always challenge for any new startup company like ours to decide, whether to invest in the technology first or invest in the business first. So there is a some kind of balance has to be. We have to strike some balance. So we invested hugely right in the first year of the operation itself, on the technology, and we went on cloud and established the complete backup team, data analytics team, as Deepu was saying, the actuarial, one of the best actuaries we had. And so we were able to pull on using this data for our pricing and underwriting. And through this core period, actually, the entire operations we conducted online, and hardly anything was offline, and everybody worked from home. All partners actually worked from their home or their offices. So we were able to conduct business quite efficiently, with the help of whatever we could generate.
Excellent, sir. So the data is a key. You mentioned very clearly. It's excellent. So I think we are almost nearing that. So I'll start with Mr. Shankar sir. So it's a very important message people can learn from this. So what is the learning, sir, so far for this year, and what is the upcoming plan for the next year?
The learning is keeping customer at the center. The companies have to change the ways they work. If the customer cannot move, the companies have to reach them. The companies have to satisfy this. And I can see excellent coordination between various companies, logistics providers, service providers, etc. Especially in the financial area. For instance, many people didn't even realize that we are working in the financial area from day one. There was never lockdown in any financial. You can see all banks running. You can see the exchanges running. You can see the insurance companies running. So that's one thing that we have seen, that the world did not shut down anything in finance. That's a great thing that we have learned. What Vijay Kumar also pointed out is one of the major issues that we have tackled, that is data privacy. We at our exchange, we handle the data of all our customers ourselves, and it's all financial data. So you can just imagine, like banks, we have our data, and it is difficult to not have a policy. So we have our internal policy, but the government of India has to come out with a national policy where data, what data can be shared, how it can be shared, whether it should be consolidated data or personally identifiable information, etc. Especially the medical side, because see, financial side, even if you know the information, you might not be able to do much, but the medical side is very critical. So as the government is planning with the pandemic being in line, we have to look at data privacy and how to secure the data. Many people think that as long as your money is safe, you're safe. Sometimes the information also is important to be safe. It should not be leaked out, and people should not misuse the data connectivity. There are lots of chances of such things breaking down over the years. We have seen lots of apps being banned. There are some advisories issued over some apps. saying they are a little worried about data loss in apps, like for instance video conferencing apps, etc. We have to move forward. We have to get the industry together to decide, yes, these are the standard conditions that we all operate on, and we have to allow small companies with creative ideas, new innovative ideas to come up, and the big guys don't just put them under the carpet. So there are lots of challenges that we have to see. And remember, all of us are here in IT industry especially to serve the real business. It is not that IT for IT's sake. Which IT should not forget? As you mentioned, Gopi, about budgets. Let me tell you, IT industry, suddenly there was a huge demand, not only for physical infrastructure like laptops, desktops, mobiles, etc., but even IT and other services. Yes, some in IT tried to increase the prices, which is why you had this budget issue. There are some technologies which may not be actually appropriate, but were required in the pandemic, for instance, VDI, etc. Then there are certain things like RDP for which you require the machines to be on whole day and night, and maybe the air conditioning along with it. There are lots of such issues that we have to look forward. I believe just after this pandemic, all the industries, especially the IT service providers and infra providers, will sit together, work out some standards, and those standards will be adopted. Then it will be easier to compare apples with apples rather than apples with oranges. And data security is the biggest challenge I foresee in the next decade, which our country and the world will definitely look into it and come up. There will be maybe some microchips embedded in human beings, maybe, because just now we have only an Aadhaar number using biometrics, but we'll have to use some dynamic possibilities. And let's hope for a better future where we contribute towards the future.
Absolutely, sir. And excellently articulated on the who are supported in this current pandemic situations. The bank never shut down. Absolutely, you're right. And on a little lighter note, nowadays it's not only apple to orange comparison. Even apple to apple comparison become a challenge because Washington apple to Kashmir apple, or vice versa in multiple apples. So it has become that, and it is good to hear that the vision for upcoming years. It's wonderful. Thank you, sir. So come back to Mr. Deepu sir. Same question to you. What is the learning for this pandemic as well as this year, and what is your plan for upcoming year?
I guess this is a very frequently asked question nowadays, Gopi. One thing we realized, during the pandemic is nowadays these so-called black swan events, are no longer as infrequent as they were previously. So today the game is not about responding to the event after it happens, but how can you learn and be ready, even before the event happens. So I think that's a key learning going forward. Secondly, we have, obviously moved the digital needle, and going forward, the new normal, whenever it happens, in whatever shape it happens, we feel it will be digital. For example, if you look at our business, insurance, the processing can be digital, but the fulfillment has to be physical. If you crash your car, you have to take it to a workshop to get it repaired. If you are unwell, you have to go to hospital to get hospitalized. So the fulfillment cannot be digital. The processing can be digital, but the fulfillment has to be physical. So therefore, it's going to be a digital world. Thirdly, as we all move into more devices and as 5G comes into play, you will see two divergent trends. On the one hand, when 5G comes in, you will have more features added. So therefore, customers can leverage digital assets to get a far higher, degree of options from their firms. On the other hand, as everybody becomes digital, in areas where you have low bandwidth, you will have to come out with a lighter version of your app. So that is something which we have done. So you will have the same digital asset existing in multiple versions. So I think these are three learnings, Gopi, drawing from our own experience, which will be relevant as we go forward.
Thank you, Deepu sir. So it's a wonderful one. Okay, come back to Mr. Umesh. What is your take on this year as well as upcoming year?
So just adding on to what we have discussed on the learnings and takeaways, I think the remote working has become at an organization level a significant learning. There is a lot of the hiccups and initial challenges were there, but now it has become the new normal. And this is one takeaway which across the organizations that will happen. And post-pandemic, new normal, and the specific learnings would be carried forward mainly in the areas of digital. I have seen a lot of the way the businesses are being done, complete digital. Some of them.
Gopi, this connectivity is what you're actually worried about in future. You are driving a car or a plane and suddenly you lose connectivity. The plane should not fall down or the car should not have an accident. So bandwidth has to be improved. You are muted, Gopi. You are muted, Gopi.
Yes, yes, sir. Actually, amazingly, when you look at the, because I can see the Geo sales also, no, the dongle, it's not available in the stock. Actually, the Geo dongles and other dongles, it's not available in the stock. It's 2 crore dongles sold in the very span of short time. And internet, you won't believe it, the connectivity and the people using the communications. It's tremendous actually. It's almost 400 times increased in a way, the consumption, and we never ready for this much. The entire country is operating from home, so and each and everyone is connecting at the same time. If you look at the trend, even today also the number one hit is YouTube actually. Even no matter what is office or whatever teams and everything we are talking, even we are able to see from the ISP angle, still number one hit is YouTube. Then only the Facebook videos is the number two. So still the entertainment is continuing and bandwidth is consuming like anything in a crazy way. But it is important to going ahead and ahead. That's why the 5G going to play a huge role, the way we are seeing it in the upcoming years. And the pandemic, if it is continuing or if it is a second phase of pandemic or upcoming new pandemic, whatever it is, so we are able to see that it's getting increased. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I got
Gopi,
disconnected.
another
Network
risk factor
glitch.
is the biggest risk factor is whenever you can switch off some button somewhere, either as an authority or as an agency. Suppose tomorrow the telecom provider decides to switch off something, you are disconnected from the world. If the government stops some network, you are disconnected. So this means that lots of power will come to the authorities and the infrastructure service provider. Like we had a problem in Bombay when the lights went off. I always tell, I am personally involved in cybersecurity in many places, and I tell them, how is your cybersecurity when the lights go off? Will access control remain? Can anyone go to the server memory and check something? I think cybersecurity is going to gain a huge stride. People don't require maybe soldiers after years, but without cybersecurity we are lost. So we have to have a big army of cybersecurity soldiers for ourselves.
Of course, sir. Absolutely. And we are able to see the trend of all the enterprise level 40 to 50 million hits from outside DDoS or ransom or whatever malicious attacks. It's happening, and it's a lot of awareness is much better than before. And protecting each individual devices, end user computing in their houses also become a challenge nowadays. And that's why wonderfully explained Mr. Mystery on the BIOD and zero trust model. Of course, it is like a Facebook. Nobody cares which you have a virus, you don't have a virus, which device you are using, which browser version you are using. It's absolutely fine anyway going forward. Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Sorry, we got some glitch in between, I believe. So, what is
So
your take?
mainly the remote working is become going to be the new normal, and apart from that, digital and automation, these are the areas which is encompassing across the organization, and artificial intelligence is also picking up quite a bit in terms of the self-learning models, and then bringing in capabilities, servicing the customers in call centers, and also in telemedicine areas and wellness areas. So these are some of the learnings which there is a shift in terms of the outlook and awareness across the pan India. Where you look at it, people looking at health insurance as a the important element of their financial security. And on top of that, they're also looking at wellness as a way to go forward. So that is the direction in which at Star Health, the entire management and all the teams are looking forward and geared up for 2021. And a lot of learnings, what we have gone through in 2020 will be taken forward into 2021. And on top of that, we'll be building many more journeys and many more customer value additions as we go along into 2021.
Thank you, sir. So the new normal definition you explained clearly. Thank you for that. And back to Vijay Kumar, sir. So what is your take on this year learning and upcoming years?
Yeah, so I think for every sector and like others in insurance sector also, the learning has been immense during this COVID period. And people prior to that used to talk about digitalization and remote working, but practically it happened only during COVID time. For as I mentioned, data and technology is lifeline for non-life industry, and the way we look at the future, if you look at for insurance, is the personalized insurance, offering products on the spot with the meeting personalized requirement of individuals, which obviously is next to impossible if we the data management and digital delivery of the product doesn't happen. So and also in our industry, the cost of fulfillment is also going up, the claim cost is also going up as the lifestyle is changing and improving. So I think the role of data crunching, data management, and delivery, digitalizing delivery, I think will play a very, very important role. One more factor actually, which I talked initially, and Deepu also mentioned that some amount of trust deficit that exists in the industry. I guess based on the learning that we had and with the more and more introduction of technology and information about the customer, I think this transparency will increase, and people will find insurance as more useful and more interesting than it is today. Yeah.
Thank you, Vijay Kumar, sir. It's briefed. Back to Mr. Kushru Mistry, sir. So I think you are the last one for this. So what is the learning for this year, sir, and what is your plan for upcoming year?
The learnings have been significant. All right. Definitely, I would say from a business perspective, as they say, cash is king is one of the most important learnings which I think the company has learned. All right, and how to manage and make sure that that enough, I would say, reserves are kept. Okay, from a business perspective. I think from a technology perspective, definitely, I think the belief and the way I would say our core leadership team and the board is behaving is that they have started to very clearly understand that our business is a technology and the technology is a business concept. All right, whereby we are making investments and we have to make investments into the technology in order to better our future and that of our future.
Sorry, Mr. Sir, you got muted.
Sorry.
Please.
My apologies. So the way I was trying to say is that the fact of the matter is that customer loyalty, if you look at it today, is not on the loyalty of the product or the brand. It's on the loyalty of the lifetime value proposition which you provide to the customer. And I think those are a couple of learnings which we have during this pandemic situation. And putting those into perspective, into the technology area, and how do we ensure that I would not say hyper automation, but hyper customization of a customer customers more inquisitive in what they are buying. They want the best, and specifically in the health and hygiene area, they just want to make sure that a situation like the COVID-19 does not translate into having another pandemic, which is a waterborne disease or an airborne disease. So whenever they buy the product, so hyper convergence of personalization is becoming very much important, and that is what we have learned through this pandemic situation, and we're trying to make the lives of the customer better by ensuring that we are providing a positive difference to them today.
Excellent, sir. So how we can take care of the customer and people, it's beautifully you explained. I believe we're almost in the end of session, and it's really being honored and to know each and every individual and a very experienced panelist, and it is wonderful to know and each one thought process. It's so beautiful, and you explain very simple language about new normal, what are the things people overcome, technologies, people touch, and knowledge and informations and budgeting, everything together. It's so beautiful. Thanks for your time, and it is beautiful. And just a thanking note to everyone. At the same time, it is important to remember Mr. F.C. Kohli, who is our IT industry, father of the nations. So, in that note, I think we can say thank you very much and have a great day again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's really happy to interact, and this is a wonderful session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gopi Thangawel, Vice President, Reliance Industries Limited. Thank you so much for moderating this session. And I also thank all our panelists, Mr. Shankar Zadav, who is the Managing Director at BSC Investment and Head Strategy, Bombay Stock Exchange. I thank Mr. Vijay Kumar also, Chief Executive Officer and Principal Officer, Go Digit General Insurance. Thanks to Mr. Umesh Padala, Chief Technology and Digital Officer, Star Health and Allied Insurance Company. Thanks to Khushru Mistry, Chief Information Officer, Eureka Forbes Limited. And thanks to Mr. KV Deepu, President and Head of Operation at India for Bajaj Alliance General Insurance Company Limited for participating in this session. Thanks to the moderator and thanks to all the panelists. Now, here we will break for a brief break, a networking break, and I would encourage everyone who are watching us live, and I'll also encourage all our speakers also to please visit the expo. We are breaking here for a networking break, and we will again assemble in this virtual conference hall for the next panel discussion after this break. Thank you so much.